Welcome, and we will continue the reading from Agastya, Purpose of Life. As usual, we will begin with the chanting. Om Shri Agastishwara Namaha. Om Shri Agastishwaraya Namaha. Om Shri Agastishwaraya Namaha. Om Shri Agastishwaraya Namaha. Jasmati?
Yeah. Thank you, Sister Ranu. This is how I want you all to analyze a situation, fact, or figure. An average person looks at the surface, the intelligent person analyzes the facts, but a person with higher knowledge tries to find the meaning in it. This is how your guru is trying to find the meaning. The human body is referred to as kshetra, field. Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita and the soul residing in the body as kshetrajna, one who understands the nature of the field. So the field is Krishna. Human body is referred to as kshetra or Krishna in Bhagavad Gita, and the soul residing in the body as kshetrajnana, one who understands the nature of the field. The soul or kshetrajnana is ever pure. You can compare this to the righteousness aspect of the Bhagavad Gita. The buddhi, intellectual faculty, is like a chariot drawn by the horses or the senses. The senses lead the human body in different directions. It is the mind which must discriminate and find the right path. If the horses are driving in an uneven path, they will tumble and get injured, and the chariot will need to stop moving for some time. If the horses are going on the right path, which we call righteousness, and it is led by a mind which follows righteousness, chances are the soul will reach its destination. This is my explanation.
So here actually, Appa Agastya is giving a very simple and easy to understand example of what the whole life, how the whole life should actually happen, and how we should lead a life. He's saying we should base our life on righteousness. This is something that you'll find recurring in Agasthiyar Vazhipaadu, because Appa Agastya always says righteousness is the foundation of spiritual life. Without that, no one can reach the destination. No matter how far you go, if you fail, if you let your mind, which he again very beautifully links to the horses here, they can take you anywhere, and you can tumble and fall, which means even the greatest of the gurus, if they do something that is unrighteous, then they too will not go to the final destination, which is liberation. So he says, no matter what you do, always base everything on righteousness. You can just continue.
Yeah. So, Sage Agastya also explains another method of explaining this would be to use the different chakras or energy centers in the human body. These are arranged one above the other along the spinal cord. They start from the Mooladhara, the basic chakra. The cosmic energy is drawn and circulated in all these chakras. Each chakra energizes and helps in the functioning of the organs connected to it. Any disturbance in these chakras or energy centers tends to create disease in those organs. For example, the Mooladhara chakras control the sex organs. This is at the physical level. It is the seat of power of will on the mental level. It is also the seat of cosmic intelligence, Kundalini, or serpent force, as you call it. This means this chakra is connected to the body as a survival instinct, to the mind as well, and at a higher level as knowledge. But that cosmic knowledge hidden in it remains dormant. This aspect can be compared to the survival instincts in Duryodhana and others.
Now, this is again a very important aspect. When Appa talks about creation, he always talks about knowledge. So, as we read Agasthiyar Vazhipaadu, we begin to understand that the whole idea of creation is based on the idea of knowledge. The absolute in its essence cannot experience. It's only when creation occurs, then duality occurs, where there is an experiencer and the person who's watching that experience. So creation, as he says, is where there are two things that happen. One is experience, and because of experience, understanding. So expression, experience, expression, and then understanding. So this is the reason that creation happened, so that a soul which is emanated from the absolute comes outside, lives in Maya, the illusion that is created, which is part of creation, which is creation itself is based on the idea of Maya, because everything again is illusion. If you think of it like this, it's like a dream. In the dream, everything is real, but when you wake up, you know it's not real. In the same way, what we see in creation is we consider very real. You know, this body is real, we can touch, we can feel, and all that. But once we reach the state of the absolute, or reach the state of non-duality, then we realize that this was a dream. So the whole idea again is that creation is nothing but it's an idea of knowledge. It is a little hard to understand in the beginning, but as you read Agasthyar Vazhipaadu, you realize that knowledge is what Appa Agastya is constantly talking about, because knowledge leads to understanding, and that is what it's all about. All these things that we go through, every single thing that we go through in life, what we understand, what we acquire, everything is pure knowledge.
Yeah. So to continue, next is the Swadish Chakra. This center is connected with relationships. It deals with different types of relationships, such as relationship between Duryodhana and others, Karna with Duryodhana, etc. Like this, we have the Sat, that is 7 chakras. The Mooladhara, Manipura, Anahata, Swadhisthana, Vishuddha, Ajna, and Sahasrara. We will not get into the details of these right now. We will devote ourselves to the basic question of attainment of perfection. In other words, ascending the levels of instinct, emotion, buddhi, or intellect, and finally blossoming to absorb cosmic intelligence. That is the purpose of life. Therefore, a spiritual aspirant must rise in the direction of purification and attainment of siddhi, and then feel oneness with Parabrahman. Awakening of the Kundalini is one of the purposes of sadhana. As the spiritual aspirant raises above this, he will pass through various levels of knowledge and perspective knowledge, and when he reaches the highest stage, his Sahasrara opens and he perceives the truth. In the battlefield, Krishna started with the analysis of the situation of Arjuna's refusal to fight. Krishna had to explain the intricacies of Kshatriya Dharma, that is, protection of the political order, first, and then introduce the concept of immortality of the soul. As the story of Mahabharata continues, the Pandavas face many hurdles. At each level, it is Sri Krishna who shows them the path. So if one follows the process of devotion and meditation in a proper manner, a guru, and in this case Krishna, leads the person on the path of knowledge. Once you transcend the various spiritual experiences, you attain the stage of liberation and merge with Brahman. That is the essence of Vishwarupa Darshana. It shows that everything emanates from him and everything returns to him. Therefore, for seekers, Bhagavad Gita remains like a guru to lead the disciple on the path to enlightenment.
Beautiful. So Appa in this particular, what do you call it, the chapter, he's just talking about the purpose of life. And if you look at the whole thing, it's actually very simple. We make it complicated because we are, so vested in the physical or the real life as we think it is. We make the whole idea very, very, very complicated. We begin to get involved and identify. Our ego starts getting identified with the body, with the people around us, with the place we live in, and then we go through the whole process of having been born and getting educated, getting married, and while doing all that, we fail many times, we accumulate karma, so we continue the cycle over and over again until the time comes when we realize there is something more to all this, which is the stage we are all in. Otherwise, we would not be looking at what Agastya has given, because that wouldn't interest people who have not yet come to that awareness. So we are blessed to be already on the path, to know that there is something more to life than just living and earning and living a good life. There is something called liberation, something called getting off the merry-go-round, as I call it, which is how long do we want to continue to do this? How long do we want to come back? Because Hinduism does believe that, we have reincarnation. So the more karmas we accumulate, the more we're going to come back. So basically, the idea again is, let us start divesting ourselves of this karma. Let's pay off our karmic debts. When suffering happens, let us accept it as something that is like a debit of a karmic account. Let us not create more karmas, and let us continue on to the path of liberation. And for all this, we will need a guru or somebody who can show us the way. Or as we read Agasthiyar Vazhipaadu, we realize that many could actually do this just by going back and reading these things, understanding, because there are many souls, great souls, who have shown us that even a guru is not necessary if we have acquired all the samskaras and have had enough practice in the previous lives, like Ramana Maharishi, who can actually just, got into that stage of final realization without having to go through the process we do, because he had already done that in many of his previous lives. So there's so much to learn in this. And one of the things he's talking about again is how each chakra has an effect on our organs. So not only does it have effect on our organs. So for example, in another chapter, Agastya talks about how the Anahata chakra affects the heart. So again, he's talking in that he speaks about how our relationships affect us. So, for example, if we have somebody, there's hate towards somebody, all that is not going to affect the other person. I mean, in a negative way, yes, the energy does affect the person, but it affects us more because we are creating or generating that negativity. So, in Vazhipaadu, we'll start learning that everything can be brought down to a very simple idea of be good, be righteous, learn from your experiences, do not react to suffering in a negative way, accept it as something that needs to be as I said, like a karmic debt, and continue on your path to find final liberation. Is there any other discussions on this? Anybody interested in talking about what it means to you? Sister Sumati, Brother Taramarasan, Brother Suresh.
Yeah, it'll be very amazing to, have our chakras opened up as we have seen. The cosmic energy goes around these chakras. So I think to energize ourselves and these chakras would be something which we should work towards.
Right. And that is why it becomes very important for spiritual aspirants to keep everything clean, pure. Because if there is any dirt or mala, as we call it in Indian terms, that can negatively affect that particular area, whether it is the heart chakra or the navel chakra or the the Muladhara chakra. So we must keep our thoughts clean. And I know it is hard because we are constantly bombarded with all kinds of stimuli. We take a small example, we look at food, we want to eat that. And that is what advertisement is all about, to attract you towards something. So we must watch what we watch, what we hear, and what kind of environment we are in, because all these things can have a great influence on us and lead us on the wrong path or make us stumble
And also what we eat also. Sorry to
absolutely, yes,
interrupt.
absolutely. Everything has an effect. Anybody else before we continue? Okay, sister.
So next topic is Mother Earth. An elderly devotee, Mahadevappa of Attibele, posed this question. It is being included here since it pertains to the state of the world today. Mahadevappa asks, when farmers dug for water in the olden days, they were able to get water easily. Nowadays, water is simply not available no matter how deep they dig. What is the solution? So Sage Agastya says, the question you are asking today is related to many people. Nowadays, man is experiencing a lot of changes connected to climate change. Two questions can be seen in this. Has nature failed to follow the norms? Has man failed, or second one, has man failed to follow the norms in relationship to nature? Nature is bound by the norms set by God. It is ordained by God how many times and where rain must fall. Rainfall is not meant just for man alone. Rainfall is nature's gift to plant life and animal species that need it. There is a relationship between rainfall and land. There is a norm on how much water must be contained inside, outside, and above land. There is fire in the depths of the earth. To prevent it from coming out, a blanket is present as a screen in the form of water around it. It douses the power of the fire that emerges and helps retain coolness on the land surface. In the same way, water is required to melt the salt and minerals that is present within the earth. Relationship between plant life and rainfall. If there is rain, there is seedling. Without seedlings, there is no tree. Without a tree, there is no fruit, and without fruit, man cannot live. Living particles that are in the state of limbo in a seed absorb the drops of rain, and gaining life gives forth a seedling that demonstrates a state of life. The plant in turn absorbs water from the land and grows and gives fruit. Water is as important to give life to plants as are soil and light. Relationship between rainfall and animal life. Water content is spread in all parts of the animal. Sometimes animals spend their lives in water. Hence, they need water within the body and outside the body. Therefore, rainfall, which is considered the blood of nature, is one of the elements of nature. Just as blood is important within the body, rain is important outside the body. So far, I have talked about the relationship.
Okay, so
Let us see.
have,
Yeah.
sorry to interrupt, but there are certain things we want to remember this. One of the main things is he asks two very pertinent questions. Has nature failed to follow the norms, or has man failed to follow the norms in relationship with nature? So we know that we human beings have not followed the norms. We are destroying nature because we are doing as we please. Not we are not really taking into account that this is like something that has to be safeguarded for the future. Our population is growing uncontrollably and we are building everywhere. There's not enough place for water to seep into the ground. So we are interfering with nature, and that is why we are seeing all the natural disasters we are seeing now. and he is talking about it. But in addition to that, Agastya is talking about what is in the core of the earth. Science has not been able to figure that out yet. Even though we are going all the way to the space and exploring space, there's not yet any what it was the instrument has not yet been developed where we can go deep into the core of the earth. Even now, they are not even able to get to some of the most resources of the sea. Even there, they have not been able to get. So Appa is talking about something. He says there's fire in the depths of the earth. We know that it's true because of the fact that there is volcanoes, erupting fire. But all that he's talking about in this particular paragraph, that has not yet been proved by science. So that is something that is still to be discovered. Then about the relationship between plant and animal life, we already know that, unless there is rain, there is no seedling, and without that, no trees, and life cannot exist, because we need sustenance, whether it is plant food or animal food, we need sustenance. So where are we going in this world? So how can we just continue to wait for our leaders to make the difference, or can we make a difference in our daily life on how we use water, how we pollute the earth? Can we stop using a lot of things that will pollute the earth? Can we reduce how much we plastic we use? Because I know at this point it's impossible to live without plastic, but can we start reducing personally? These are all the questions we have to ask ourselves.
So to continue, let us see how man safeguards this important element of nature called rain or water. In the olden days, there was no reason for man to worry about water. Water was available very easily to him. He needed water only to sustain his life and to nurture the crops. Now, man needs water to construct homes. He needs water to nurture ornamental plants. He needs a small waterfall within his own home simply to satisfy his desires. In this way, man is using more and more water, and along with it, he is cutting down trees. He's using more water than it is necessary. He has forgotten that if there must be rainfall, trees are needed. In this way, he has broken the rules of nature and is wreaking havoc on nature. Because he has overstepped the rules of nature, he has also ruined the norms of rainfall as well. That is why rainfall has lessened and there is a reduction of water within the earth. If this is allowed to continue in this state, there will come a situation in the future when man will no longer be able to obtain water even in case of difficulty. The responsibility of the farmer. There must be a reduction in digging of the land. More trees need to be grown and they must not be used for pleasure. In addition to this, man has lost his goodness. Faith in God has lessened. Where righteousness is not followed, there suffering emerges by itself. Hence, people must conduct yagnas that will please the rain god Varuna based on the established rules. Use water with reverence only for needs. Construct simple homes and consider nature as another living form. Do not constantly stab it, often causing pain. Two things: there must be norms in the use of water and give water a chance to collect within the earth.
Again, Vazhipaadu is not always all about esoteric truths and Kundalini and chakras and meditation. It's also about living life. So these are very simple things we already know. But unfortunately, we have to have somebody come back and tell us again and again how to live life. Why can't we understand these very simple things like, hey, why are we using excess water? Why are we cutting down trees for pleasure? So we are arriving at a crisis state in the world today, even if people are not understanding it. We continue to live life the way we want to, but Appa Agastya is warning us, stop, take stock. We are reaching a crisis state because we have already started, ruined the earth a lot. We've already used it in ways that they are not necessary. He's saying, stop now, stop doing things that are not needed. start being simple, live a simple life. Think about it. Even if there are two ways it can help. Living a simple life helps the environment around us. Living a simple life helps us, because if you just take an example of a home, and I'm talking because we all have homes. You have a lot of things in your house. You're going to spend a lot of time trying to take care of it. So then, where is the time for contemplation, for meditation? So get rid of most of the things that you don't need. Live a simple life. Focus more on internal growth. And that's what Appa is saying here. So because once we start understanding, contemplating, we will naturally start protecting not only ourselves, but all those around us and Mother Nature. So these are very important lessons, even though they seem very ordinary, because we as human beings have to go back to the basics, and we are not at this point. Any thoughts from anybody? Brother Kartipan Gopal, Rajgopal, thank you for joining us. And Dharmarasan, thank you. Sister Geeta, thank you so much. Sister Veena, thank you. And Brother Suren, is there any thoughts from anybody? Please feel free to speak. Okay, so since we're almost coming to the half an hour we had scheduled for this meeting, we will go ahead and conclude this with, the thought of what can we do today? How can we change, make a difference today? We can make a difference by what we think, how we act, how we behave with others, and how we can simplify our life and understand that all that lives around us is related to us. It's like a giant canvas. If something happens in one corner, it is going to affect the other corner. So we must change. Keeping all this in mind, let us, as usual, find a quiet place in our house, sit straight, focus on the space between our eyebrows, and just watch our breath and meditate. And now I'm going to chant the final chanting. We will end the meeting. Thank you for joining. Om Shri Agastya.